Okay, we have to dance. Have to get moving here.
The Merry Christmas dance.
Yeah, the Merry Christmas dance. That's good. I think I need a hat. You've already got a hat. I need a hat here.
I need your hat, though.
Yeah.
That's the one I need. Oh, I like it.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Welcome to Art School Live and Merry Christmas. Yes, we're working on Christmas Day. Jed, thank you for giving up your Christmas. Did you get anything under the tree this morning?
You know what? I got some good stuff, but we did it last night because we celebrate on Christmas Eve.
Ah, okay. Well,
we're one of those families.
Well, I'm thankful that, my kids are old enough now, they don't wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So we had a really nice morning sitting around drinking hot cocoa in our pajamas. And I can't tell you what I got because it's really embarrassing. But
good.
But we had
as all good
really
gifts are, slightly embarrassing.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and we hope you're having a great Christmas day. And we hope that you have a chance to watch today, because this is we cannot break our consistency. We've been on live every weekday since COVID. We're not going to stop for Christmas. So here we are. We have Jed Dorsey as our guest. Jed is also coming up on Acrylic Live, and he's going to teach you about acrylic painting today. And what are we going to paint, Jed?
Well, I thought that it would be very appropriate to paint something beautiful and Christmas themed. So I've got a little, just a snow scene with a nice house kind of cabin set in the woods a bit. So hopefully it'll be a good one for the day.
Okay, well, maybe we'll involve the audience, and as we go, we can add elements to your painting. So maybe we'll do that. We'll really challenge you.
Hey, that sounds like that sounds kind of like the plein air show that we did, where we had to with all sorts of different things.
All right, well, I got my buddy here. He's going to sing a song for us real quickly. Can you hear him?
I can.
Okay, Jed, you got to sing along.
He's cutting out a little bit, so I'm not able to track it completely.
That's okay. It's pretty obnoxious. Okay, well, I'm going to let you go ahead and teach once we get this show officially started. Let's do this. We'll play the whole thing.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads. Now, here's your host, Eric Rhoads.
All right, it's our Christmas show, and it is Christmas Day, and we are so thankful for you guys. So thanks for tuning in today. We want to get you involved in the comments, so make sure you tell us where you're watching from. Tell us what you got for Christmas or what you want for Christmas, and we want to just have a great time with a Christmas show. Our guest today is Jed Dorsey. Do we have any images of Jed's work? Ooh, la la.
Oh, there we go.
Beautiful work. Okay. Well, we're getting some snow paintings. I'm seeing a theme here. This is really good. There's no snow in that one. That's really terrific. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice. Well, Jed's going to teach us how to do a snow scene in acrylic. This is Art School Live. We've been here every weekday at 12 noon since COVID began. The first 7 months, we were here 7 days a week, and we've decided to continue this. If you want to learn how to paint, if you're a first timer today, this is a great place to start. We believe that if you watch this program, and we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of programs that we have done, we have painters from all over the world teaching to paint. And we think if you watch just 5 episodes, that you'll get the confidence that you need to learn painting. And we love to hear your stories in the comments about your story and if we've been able to help you. But let's get right to Jed Dorsey and let's start painting a Christmas scene.
Okay, I have this panel. It is a gesso board panel. I'll show you the exact type it is. This is, of course, a little bit smaller. The one I'm painting on is 12 by 12, but it's an ultra smooth gesso panel. I really like painting on these. They're, for on me, a good solid surface. I don't worry so much about damaging them, and they don't stretch and things like that. This is just a fluid acrylic on there that I put down to kind of color the panel, and it's dioxazine violet here. And then I used an acrylic marker to do the drawing. So it all probably looks pretty dark for you right now, and that's understandable. So I'll try to get moving and put on some colors that you'll be able to see a little bit easier, a little bit better. I'm going to be using mostly Princeton Aspen brushes today. These are all flats, and they range from about a size 4 or maybe a size 6 to probably if I make any large passes with anything, it will be this number 20, which this is a pretty big brush. I don't know if I'll use it at all in the painting today, but that's the range. And my colors are titanium white, cadmium yellow, medium. This is a cadmium orange that's on there. I may need to get more of that. This is naphthol red, which is very similar to cadmium red. Then I have ultramarine blue here in the corner. This is phthalo blue. This is dioxazine violet, the same color that I put down, but in just a different form. And then this is black. I don't know if I'll use that at all either. And this here is, I don't think I'll use that one either, but it is a medium magenta.
All right.
So I will just trying to figure out where I'm going to start. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some of the shadow areas in the snow and try to get a bit of get some of that kind of in place, and then I'll work my way kind of all around. Actually, I'm going to do one thing before I do that. I'm going to grab some of this violet, and I'm going to grab some yellow and a little bit of blue, and I'm making a dark, I'm just trying to make a dark blue-green type of color here that's grayed down a little bit. So
Are you doing this out of your head, or are you using a reference image?
I have a kind of like a mostly my drawing is based on a reference, and I'm going to be following that, but I didn't have the ability to put it on the screen or anything like that. But
we'll pop it up if we can later.
Okay.
So do you typically start with darks?
Well, in this case, I normally do actually, because I normally want my darks to be a little bit more transparent sometimes, but also I want them to be underneath the lights. The lights, I like to have them standing out on top, and it's visually kind of a little bit easier to make them look like they're coming towards you if they actually are on top of the darks. So generally I do go around and I'll put in the darks if they're not already in. Like a dark surface like this, they're already kind of in.
Yeah.
But so I might leave some areas kind of showing through with the scratchy purple if it looks like it's dark enough. But a lot of this I'll just cover up one more time here. And this doesn't have to be, this can be very, very loose. Doesn't really have to look like anything at this point. The main thing is I need to keep the marks for where the objects are, like the tree over here, the trees over here, that kind of thing. As long as I can do that, then the actual marks can be a little bit messy. They can be a little bit abstract because a lot of this is going to be shaped later and, you know, refined after the fact. And anytime you have water, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a little creek down here. And then this up here is, you know, the up area. But if I put something down or I put it up here, then it makes a lot of sense at the same time to come down into the reflection and do it. Or else I'll have to just do it later.
Yeah.
So, Eric, tell us a little bit about Acrylic Live. I know I'm signed up for it. I've got my demo ready. It's exciting to be part of it, but tell us about what I don't know, what your vision for it is.
Who's interviewing who?
I didn't know this was an interview. But
And, well, you know what? It started. During COVID, we launched Watercolor Live, Plein Air Live, Pastel Live, and Realism Live. And we thought they would end when COVID ended, but everybody said keep them going because there are a lot of people who can't get on the road and attend something in person. So we've kept them going, and they remain strong. And so we were asking our audience what else they wanted, and they kept saying, we want Acrylic Live. And so we don't see a lot of acrylic painters at things like the plein air convention, so we weren't sure if it was going to fly. But we announced it, and we had several hundred people sign up immediately. And we never know how many people are going to be there, but it'll be thousands from all over the world. And that is coming up in March, and we're happy that you're going to be teaching.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. That's really neat. What do you think? So do you think that these people were just people that you weren't really engaged with before? Or do you think that they just hadn't reached out, or they're your normal people, but they're interested in acrylics? Do you have any sense of that?
I think it's a little bit of everything. You know, there were a lot of people who have discovered that if, you know, let's say they're an oil painter and they discover that if they attend Watercolor Live, which is coming up in a couple of weeks, they start realizing that it makes them more creative. They find that watercolor informs their oil painting or vice versa. And so they get a little bit of training in other areas. So we have a lot of people. We have several hundred who just attend everything we do. And so a lot of those people have signed up. And then, of course, there's a lot of people who are diehard acrylics that have signed up, and a lot of people who want to learn it. And so I for instance, just started painting in acrylic. I used to a long time ago, but never got good at it. But I've found that there are times when I want to take acrylic and not take oil, you know, especially if I'm traveling to Europe or something. So I think it's going to be really terrific.
That's great. Yeah, it's cool to. I've never actually. Well, I shouldn't say I've never practiced too many other mediums. It's true recently. Back growing up, I painted only in watercolor because my family had painted in watercolor. And then I learned kind of between acrylic and oil. But for the last number of years, I've really only painted in acrylics. And so I always admire people who are good in multiple mediums, because I think it shows a real love for art. And also it takes effort. They're different, you know. Watercolor is a lot different than or acrylic, and so the principles are all they apply, but the actual method of applying the paint is so different.
Have to treat it a lot differently. Hey, I want to say Merry Christmas to a lot of people who are watching from all over the world. Hello, Finland. Hello, Italy. Let's see, United Kingdom. A whole bunch of people from the UK, London. Also, a lot of Canadians. Hello, and
hey.
South Africa. Where else? Italy. I think I said Italy. Anyway, make sure you tell us where you're watching from. Merry Christmas. Tell us what you got for Christmas, or what you want for Christmas, or if you celebrate Christmas. Okay, so are you is this going to be a dark scene, a light scene? What's your vision?
Well, I'm starting to bring up the values here, and I'll probably need to continue to do this. But the dark background, while I love the effect that you get with a dark background, and one of the things I like is that I know where all my light areas are going to be because I'm going to put them in. But this takes a little bit of effort to cover the dark enough so that the lights are light enough and the midtones, because it's just all deceptive at a stage.
Does acrylic dry lighter or darker?
Dries a little bit darker. And the other part is that it doesn't usually cover in one pass as much as an oil paint would. So if this is, maybe this is enough for one pass of oil, and it will be the color you want it to be because it's a little bit thicker. If it's covering something dark in acrylic, sometimes what will happen is it's the drying, but it's also that you see a little bit of the paint. It's a little bit more transparent. So you'll end up needing to do multiple coats. Oftentimes I find, to get the color up to where you want it to be.
All right.
But to me, it's kind of part of learning to work with the medium, and it's also the way that I paint with painting on dark. A lot of people don't approach it this way, but everything has its upside and its downside. I've just chosen to look at this as a positive thing rather than a negative thing, so that I can do more layers quickly.
Well, it's not positive or negative. It's just every medium's different.
It's very true. Very true. Yeah, so I'm really looking to see where the light and the shadows are right now, and I'm still going around and trying to put this, even though it looks pretty light on here, it's the shadow area of the snow. And
well,
then
if you put brighter light on it, it's going to look shadowy.
Yeah, that's the hope. There's some snow up in these branches, so we'll see.
Our guest today is Jed Dorsey, and he's teaching us acrylic painting. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah, one thing I like to do is try to, if I can do something in less brush strokes, then I'll try to do that. So meaning, if I can make one or two larger brush strokes and accomplish it, I'll try my best to do that. I may fail, but I'd rather do that and stay in the bold kind of approach than get out my smallest brush right away and only use it. But that's my style. I'm a little bit more of a painterly artist.
And a very good one at that.
Eric, I'm wondering if you were, how much do you think, I get this question quite a bit, or at least this sentiment, where people are asking, how do I find my style? Have you thought about that much?
I think about it every day.
What do you think is that an important thing for somebody, or where does it fall in terms of learning?
So,
like developing your own style.
So let's talk about handwriting. What happens is when you first start handwriting, you're trying to figure out how to make the characters. And then as you get more and more comfortable with it, it just kind of becomes your handwriting. It becomes your style. It's not something that you're likely to change. It's just something that happens. People don't develop a style because of intent. They develop a style because of experience. So what ends up happening is you just, the way that you hold the brush, the way that you do the brush strokes, it all just kind of becomes who you are. It's like your signature. And so It will find you. You don't find it. So don't worry about it. Don't try to be so intentional.
I like that. I've had a lot of conversations with people about that type of idea, and I think I don't think I've ever thought of it like your handwriting. I like that imagery, because I think it's very easy to understand. Like nobody, I mean, there might be times when you do deliberately try to learn something, you know, calligraphy or something like that. Or have you ever noticed how architects all seem to write the same way?
Well, a lot of that has to do with their training, because they were trained to be very exact in their handwriting, their not script writing. And so as a result, you know, that has a lot to do with art school or whoever you're learning from, you know, so you're going to develop some techniques from other people. But the key, of course, is not to become other people. It's to become yourself. We see a lot of artists people who knock off the style of a particular artist. But the reality is that you don't want to become that. You want to develop your own voice. And most of that really is just don't worry about it. It just happens. I'm seeing it happening with me. And I can now tell that, you know, I just do certain things a certain way. You know, my brush moves the way that my mind moves. So I can try to change it, but it's really hard. You know, unless you're painting with your opposite hand, it's really hard to change things.
That's actually an interesting thought too. I should try to I'm going to do one brush stroke with my opposite hand just because you said it.
All right.
Because I was thinking about this. Here, I'm doing it on this important part of the painting too, the chimney. Okay. That's enough of my left hand. Yeah. But, you know, so Eric, do people ever say, hey, like they recognize your style when you hadn't yet recognized it?
I don't think that's happened to me yet, but it happens to me when I judge shows. So the hard part when you judge shows is that you don't, you know, I know, like you, I know a lot of artists, right? And so I was judging a show one time, and I make them cover up all the names because I don't want to know. I don't want that to influence my decisions. But I was judging a show and I thought, oh, I know who that artist is. And there was another one. I know who that is, because you could just tell their style. And then, you know, it starts influencing you. You know, you have to be very careful not to allow it to influence you. But I think, you know, I would say probably a lot of people would be able to look at my work and say, yeah, that's mine. I think I could look at yours and say, yeah, that's Jed.
Yeah. Well, I find that to be the interesting part of it, because it goes along with what you were saying, that you shouldn't aim at the style, right? That shouldn't be the goal necessarily. It will just happen. It really does happen, because I've had so many people say over time, over years, you know, say, oh, I knew that was your painting. And I'd say, well, you know, I don't know. Or they'll say, I just recognize your style. And I go, I don't even know my style. How do you know my style before I know my style, right? But I think it's partly just because it happens. Like you're saying, it's not a conscious thing. It's just you get influenced by different things, your life experience, what you enjoy. You know, do you like a lot of color? Do you like a lot of detail? Do you like more nuanced things? Where do you live? What are you looking at? But I always think it's kind of interesting when somebody else can come up to you and they seem to know what your style is, and you might not have even recognized it yourself.
Well, if you're thinking about it, maybe you're trying to make it a little bit more contrived. I think that as I look at some artists, you look at Sargent. I think Sargent had his own style, but I also think, and I don't know this, I have no evidence of this, but I think what he did is that before he finished the painting, he said, okay, now it's time to put the jewels in. And so once he got the painting where he wanted it to be, then he would say, okay, now I need a big bold brush stroke here, and I need something really dramatic here. And so I think he would lay that stuff in after the fact. I may be completely wrong. I've watched some other painters who paint in kind of a similar style, and that's what they're doing. Is they're laying it in kind of like the candy. And I've watched, Don Demers has kind of some finishing touches that he always puts in his. Most of it is about highlights, but you can look at any painting and say, what does it need? What do I need to kind of create that essence of who I am or what I feel? Some of us like to paint like really brushy, oily stuff. Some of us like thick work. Sometimes I'll lay down as a final, I'll lay down just a big thick brush stroke just because it kind of becomes an area of focal.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's, well, I've heard somebody say that you don't want to end your painting. The way that I put it is you don't want to end your painting on a whimper. You kind of want to go out with a bang.
Right.
So why not make some bold brush strokes at the end of your painting rather than the smallest little things? But I think that's an intention, right? Because it's hard to do that unless you're intentionally trying to do that, because if you're close to the end, you probably don't have a lot of really big brush strokes to make. So,
well, again, you're evaluating, you're saying, what does this need? What can I do to make it really dynamic? What can I do to make it better? And sometimes, I like to let them sit for a while, and then I'll come back to them with fresh eyes, because when I've been working on a painting for a few days or a few weeks, you just get sick of it. And so you put it aside for a couple of months, and then you look at it with fresh eyes. It makes a big difference if you have that luxury.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that sometimes I think I'm done with a painting, but I know from experience that I should just let it be around for a while. And if I take another week to look at it, there's so often the painting that I thought was done, I see a handful of things that I actually think are pretty important to do. And but it's hard to see it in the moment. We get a little bit blind to the painting. We're either sick of it or we're so close to it that we can't see any fault. Sometimes I remember when I was first learning, it was the first time I ever painted in acrylics. Like I said, I'd done watercolor growing up, and I was at a gallery. I really fell in love with these paintings. I was asking the gallery owner how, what do you think they did? One of them was an oil painter, one of them was an acrylic painter. And I said, can you just point me in any direction? I don't know what to do, but all I know is that I love these paintings. And the gallery owner very kindly said, I think that you should try acrylic because it'll be a little bit easier for you to work with in the situation where I lived. They knew that I didn't have a big studio or anything. And so I did. I went out that day, I bought acrylic paints, and I started practicing because we were in Whistler, BC, and we had our hotel, and or is that actually a condo, but I just brought out my stuff and I was painting in the apartment. And I would get so caught up in my work. This is how funny it was, Eric. You'll maybe get a kick out of this, but I got so caught up in my work that I was thinking it was good enough that I could go back to the gallery and that they would take my work immediately and say, "Oh my goodness, where have you been all of our life? And we'll sell this tomorrow," And but what I did was I ended up just going back to the gallery just to make sure that I should bring it to the gallery. And I went back to the gallery and I looked at the work that was actually good and actually professional. And I thought, oh, I'm glad I didn't bring my painting with me this time because there's a lot of work to do. So I find that I've had both experiences many times where a painting that I think is done and good and it doesn't need anything else, the next day I look at it and I think, my goodness, I thought I was done with that. That needs a lot of help. And then I've had the other where I thought a painting was a wreck. I'm very frustrated with it. I just want to throw it away. But I end up just turning out the lights, going to bed, and I wake up the next morning and I start thinking I'm going to take it out to the burn pile or something. And I look at it again. I go, oh, why was I so critical of that painting? It's not that bad. And I see a lot of good things in it that I hadn't noticed.
Well, you know, we all have moods, and our moods impact our thought process. And so, you know, sometimes if I get in a mood, I just have to try to walk away from a painting because I'll ruin it, because I'll think, oh, this is really awful. And if I just put it down and come back to it the next day when I'm in a better mood, everything changes. I had a really great painting going the other day. It was really awesome. And I was kind of in a mood and I wasn't loving it. And I scraped it down and now I regret it. Now I got to
Yeah, for sure. I think we get frustrated with things, and if we let that mood, like you're talking about, that's a good thought. I, of course, do a lot of demos and things, but one time I was filming a demo outside, and it was just some flowers. I was doing it on location, and at first I thought it was going great. I was really happy with it, and then over time I started running into a couple trickier areas and different things that were causing me a little bit of hardship, and I started getting to the point in my demo, because I'm trying to talk as I'm doing it, and I don't know if you can imagine trying to encourage somebody else when you feel really bad about your own painting. And I'm sitting there, and at some point I got so frustrated. I took my paintbrush on my painting and I just had a bunch of paint on. I just went like that. I was so mad, right? And I just scribbled all over the whole thing. And then I threw my paintbrush. I threw my paintbrush across. It was kind of in a field. And then I thought, oh, well, I got that on tape. Let's see what happens now. And I'm thinking, and part of my frustration is I spent all this time, setting up. I was here. I had a good thing going. And then I messed it all up. And I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna try to hide this. I'm gonna go with this, and I'm gonna make something out of this, because I know that other people have a hard time with paintings too, and they probably feel discouraged and frustrated and all the same things. So I decided I would show the whole thing, and because then later I took that same painting back to my studio after I'd gotten out of that bad mood and everything. And I actually found some good things about it. And I thought, well, okay, it's not as terrible as I thought it was. And I was able to kind of rework it and make something reasonably good out of it. And then I went and I created the whole video that showed the process, and I told people at the beginning, and then when I got to the part where I threw the brush, I stopped it and I explained everything, and I just kind of like welcomed them into that moment that was just me having a difficult time and
having a fit.
Well, what's funny is that I got more comments, more people that said that encouraged them more than anything else. Because they were able to see that, we all go through hard times, and not every painting turns out amazing. And that, seeing that was actually more helpful than if I'd started over and done a really amazing painting the first time. So that'll be my excuse now. If you see me throw my brush across the room or I scribble all this off at some point. It's for the people. It's for everybody else out there.
Right. Well, I'm not. At least I'm not in the room.
Yeah. You won't get hit.
So you're creating a leading line. That line is kind of leading into the composition. I don't know if that's intentional, but it looks that way right now.
Yeah, I think hopefully this whole area will kind of accomplish that after we get some of the highlights in and different things. Of course, this will probably end up being a fairly rough version by the time we're done here, but hopefully I get enough in that the idea we can see kind of the fun idea of the scene.
If you guys have any questions, put them in the comments and tell us where you're watching from.
So
Like you're touching on that black now, is that right?
yeah, I got a little black. I put a little bit of this orange into it. I'm probably gonna mix in some violet here. If I use black, I don't always use black. Sometimes I'll just mix my own, with my favorite mix right now recently has been phthalo green and cadmium red. That mix is a really nice black, but if I am using black out of the tube, I will generally mix something in with it just so that it has a little bit of color and life. I have a really bad habit of mixing paint, having what I want, and then somehow my paintbrush drags across another pile of paint that's close by, and I pick up some other color inadvertently. So, Eric, what are some fun Christmas memories that you have from you have triplets, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes, sir. 22 years old right now.
Okay. So what are some Christmas memories from when they were young? Do you have any gifts or anything that either was a huge win for your kids or something that they didn't like or something that they gave you that you loved? Anything like that?
Well, I think that anytime we try to encourage our kids to make something every year, it's harder and harder as they get busy, especially with college and so on. But the things that have been the best are the things that they've made, whether they're ceramic or pottery or paintings or, anything. It's just nice to have something that has had their mark on it rather than just going out and buying something. So
sure.
I would say that's probably the best thing for us.
Oh, that's cool.
The memories are just so wonderful when they're little, of course, because they get so enthusiastic, so excited about Christmas.
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, we have a daughter who is 13, and let me think. Well, our family tradition has always been, well, I would say at least half of our Christmases, I'd say probably 3/4 of our Christmases, we've been in Canada for Christmas. And we have had, like I said, my in-laws their tradition has always been to open gifts on Christmas Eve. And so we have a big dinner, a fun what we call hot rocks type of meal, which is, I don't know if you're familiar, but you have these stones that you heat up in the oven initially, and then you put those burners underneath them, and they're kind of spread across the table. You sit pretty close to one, and you cook all sorts of a variety of foods on them. So from shrimp to steak to chicken to carrots and peppers and onions and just anything that you can think of. But what's fun about that meal is that it takes a while, because you're all just cooking at the same time. And so that's been, I think, probably one of the highlights of Christmas is from my married life, is just being able to spend a significant amount of time together and having fun traditions like that, where you really bond and eat well. Who doesn't enjoy eating glorious food like that? And then, of course, you end with that night with everybody goes down to the basement, sits around where the fireplace is, and opens presents. And that's also, this changed a bit over time. Like when most of the grandkids were younger, it was just absolute mayhem. Just kind of a lot of presents, a lot of wrapper, everything like that. Now I feel like we've kind of made adjustments over time where we say, you know what, I don't really need too much. Kind of like you're saying, I don't necessarily know of that much that I even need at all, but we'll do white elephant gifts sometimes. And so that's become a fun tradition also, just doing a white elephant gift exchange with everybody to add to the fun.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that. We used to do that, a lot of that with company things, but we're all spread out now, so we don't do company Christmas parties anymore because we all live in different places.
Yeah. Where do you normally spend Christmas? Do you? Because
we live in Austin, Texas, and that's where we spend our Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah. So once in a while, used to be we would go to parents and so on, but they're gone now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's looking really good.
Well, thank you. It's coming along.
You guys have questions, go ahead and into the comments. And hello, Budapest. Wow, that's pretty cool. Thank you.
I think that one of the things that I always enjoy about painting is seeing how simple things, it doesn't always take as much as we might think to show the essence of a scene. And I think that
I would have never picked those colors for those window lights, but they really work beautifully.
Yeah. It's well, hopefully they'll look a little bit better when I'm going to put a little bit more in there. But the essence of what I think is so interesting about painting is when I'm painting, a lot of times I don't even see if it's making a lot of progress or not. I don't know. You know how you just work on one aspect? I mean, I kind of am trying to keep my eyes on the whole thing, but I don't necessarily see it all come together right away. But then you step away a little bit and you look at the whole thing, and those little parts can add up to, make sense of the scene.
Yep.
And I think stepping away from a painting is so helpful. Sometimes you see the problems as well as that it's coming together. Eric, do you have, I know you have probably more, you probably know more artists than anybody ever in the history of the world. Really. Maybe that's not true, but you know a lot of artists. What are some techniques that people share or that you like to see your painting? You know what I mean? Like sometimes people will put it in a mirror or something like that. They'll look at it in a mirror. What are some of those things that you help get a fresh eye for a painting? If you want to see if there's any problems or anything like that.
Well, a mirror, I keep a mirror in the back of my studio, and I sometimes I use, if you take your phone when it's turned off, it acts like what's called a black mirror. And so you can look at the reflection, so it really shows the values more than the colors. And then of course you can turn a painting upside down, or you can stand upside down if you prefer to do that.
I maybe used to be able to do that. I don't know if I can.
I did it at the plein air convention this year. I hung upside down.
Did you really?
Yeah, we did an acrobatic act, and I came and did the scarfs. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, I missed that. Actually, so how was it is Asheville, right?
Yeah, it was around Asheville. It was in Cherokee, which was very close.
Okay. How was it there on the more eastern part of the country?
Oh, it was fabulous, and it was well attended. Of course, this year is going to be in Lake Tahoe and Reno. So
yeah,
that way a lot of people come from all sides of the country, no matter what. And some people want to come only when it's in their region. So, but it was a nice experiment. It was fun to be able to do that. People have said for years, you should come back towards the east. And so we did, southeast. So that was fun. So we're doing it again in May, which will be a terrific time. We're going to have to wrap up here in just a couple of minutes.
Okay.
I apologize for that. It's going so well, but it's really great. I was going to have the people chime in and say, what would they do? You guys can put your ideas in there, but we don't have a lot of time. So,
well, you know what? Maybe I'll go back into the comment section, and since I'm not done, I'll see if I can add anything in after the fact.
All right, cool.
I know, no problem.
Came together. It's really beautiful. It's got a really nice feel to it. I think you guys give thumbs up and applause to Jed Dorsey.
Well, this is fun. This is fun. I'll just stop right here.
Okay, Jed, why don't you come back on camera real quick?
Okay.
And then thank you so much for doing this. I guess I better put my my Santa hat back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good day. It's a good day, isn't it, Eric?
Absolutely, Jed. Well, Merry Christmas. Thank you for doing this. Tell everybody the name of your academy.
Okay, yeah. If you love acrylics and you want to come over sometime, it's Acrylic University. So that's kind of what we do, and it's going to be a lot of fun at Acrylic Live. I'll look forward to seeing you guys there too. And Eric, thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Jed. We'll see you. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.
Okay, you guys hang with me for just a second. First off, Jed was talking about Acrylic Live. Let's just pull that up real quickly. Acrylic Live is our online acrylic conference. We have many, many great instructors teaching and more to come. That's March 26th through 28th. Just go to acryliclive.com/ASL. We have coming up in just a couple of weeks, we have in January, maybe 3 weeks or so, we have a watercolor live. It'd be a great Christmas present, a good thing to do with Christmas money. Watercolor live, if you want to learn watercolor from some of the best, we've got some of the top artists in the world teaching from all over the world, and we get people attending from all over the world. And that is the 22nd through 24th of January with Essential Techniques Day on the 21st. That's watercolorlive.com/ASL for Art School Live. A couple other things I want to tell you about. Now, we're down to the wire on this one. You have until the end of December. That's it. So that's like just a few days now. We have Winter Art Escape. It's my retreat in St. Augustine, Florida. We have a few seats left, but not many. And so if you want to come, this would be a great gift. What we do is we hang out all day and we paint all day. We tell you where to go. We all go together. You can go paint on your own if you want. We give you all your meals, your room. You sit up at night and we play, we paint, we do portraits, we sing, we party, we have a good time. And that's Winter Art Escape. This is the first time we're doing it. And that's February 8th through 15th. But you got to register before the end of this month. Otherwise, we're letting the rooms go if there's any left. So get into that, winterartescape.com. And last but not least, I decided that the best thing I can do, the best gift I can give to you is to teach you how to run your art business, whether you're an artist, a photographer, a candle maker, a craftsperson, a sculptor, a potter, whatever it is that your thing is. We're going to teach you how to make more money and how to achieve your goals. So we're going to take a whole day. That day is going to be on January 10th, and it's called Art Business Mastery Day. And if you go to streamlineartevents.com/marketing, you can attend this. You can see my list of all the people who are instructing. I have some experts in social media, pricing, email marketing, all kinds of things. So this is really high level stuff. And whether you're new to this or whether you're wanting to get to the next level, these things will teach you some incredible principles. And quite frankly, if you get one or two things that make your year better, it's going to be worthwhile. And here's my goal. If I can make you make more money, you'll spend more money with me. I'm just being honest. Okay. So, and I want you to have the dreams that you want to live. And so go to Art Mastery, our Art Business Mastery Day. Just go to streamlineartevents.com/marketing. And here's the thing. It's only $47. You know, I went to dinner with my wife the other night. We just had a salad each and it was $40. So you're getting something that's going to build your business, help you understand. And even if you're like, nah, I'm not a business person, I just want to sell a little bit more art. That's okay. We're going to teach you the principles. I've got one thing I'm going to teach that I believe will double everybody's art sales in less than 1 year. Just one little thing that you can do. So that's just a teaser. There's thousands of things. There's lots of instructors. We're going to be talking about goal setting. We're going to help you plan your year so you go into January with a complete plan. You're going to do the work. We're going to teach you how to do it. You're going to do the work. We're going to teach you all the things that, maybe not all the things you need to know. We can't possibly fit it into a day. But this is kind of like the TED conference of art marketing, right? And the reason is we've got a lot of speakers. We're giving them each 20 minutes. And so they're going to be concentrated learning, lots of fast learning, lots of principles. You can, if you want to sign up for replays, you can replays and watch it over and over and again. And that way you can really crush it for the new year. So anyway, sign up for that. Go to streamlineartevents.com/marketing. That's my company, Streamline. Merry Christmas to you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. If you're new, just know that we're teaching art lessons in oil, watercolor, acrylic, pastel, drawing, all kinds of things. And if you want to learn to paint, you can learn here. We have heard from a lot of people around the world. We've had over 16 million views. We've heard from people all over the world who started painting because they were watching this show. If you want to go to the next level, if you want to get a higher level of sophistication than what we're teaching here, you can go to painttube.tv. Great place to spend your Christmas money too. Painttube.tv has over 700 professionally produced high quality art instruction videos. That's painttube.tv/ASL. Merry Christmas. And thank you again for being here today. And make sure to hit, oh yeah, one more thing. Hit the subscribe button because we only have, we got 1,000 more people and we're going to hit our next big number. Okay. So we're at 139,000 followers. I think we want to hit 140 before the end of the year. So go ahead and get in there and do that. Go to YouTube, follow Art School Live. And of course, you want to follow me on Instagram, X, Facebook, Blue Sky, whatever, TikTok. I'm there under @Eric Rhoads. Okay, guys, Merry Christmas. Let's pump up the Christmas music. And Jed and I are going to dance One more time. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Oh, I need my Christmas tree. Hang on a second. Okay, Jed, I'm going to embarrass myself even further. Okay, here we go.
I wish I had a Christmas. I like that.
Hey,
That looks good. I like it.
I like it too. Hey, Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. I don't know if you noticed, but I've got you got flowers. Yeah, 𝗦𝗰𝗲. All right, that's thanks to my lovely bride. Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, Jed. Thank you.
Merry
and
Christmas.
Let's have a really terrific Christmas week. Spend time with family. Give them lots of love. That's what this is all about. I'm Eric Rhoads, and I am so grateful for you. Make sure to subscribe and follow, and we will see you tomorrow because we're not breaking our streak. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.